Our next guest played 712 games for the Vancouver Canucks, was the 2011 Selke Trophy winner as the league's best defensive forward. And for those who remember, probably the most dominant series by a Canuck in the postseason. 11 points, 2 game-winning goals, and a 6-game win over Nashville in 2011. It's our pleasure to welcome back to the program Mr. Ryan Kesler, RK17. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, very well. Well, we're calling him Coach because he continues to coach his not so little guy. 14-year-olds keep you busy?
Yeah. We just finished our season. Actually, I coached Detroit Little Caesars, so we're back in Detroit. We moved back like four years ago, I think, and we just won nationals, which is huge for us. Boys went 6-0 in 6 days, and I think we outscored our opponents like 61-6. So they played well. They're hard workers, and it really helps me. I took all the passion I had for playing and I put it in the coaching, and these kids are just eating everything up, which is awesome. It's hard to find these days.
You don't face BX's kids, right? They're younger.
No, they're older.
They're older. Oh,
yeah. His son's in 07, mine's a 2010. So
did your program beat his program? Look, because he was talking about going to the nationals, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was going for his age group. I don't know if they played Caesars or not at that level.
Okay. I'm sure you could throw in the chirp there for him.
As someone who covered the National Capital Tournament in Ottawa, the Pee Wee Tournament in Quebec, Detroit Little Caesars wins them all. Like, you don't need to worry. They get more than their fair share. So, Ryan, is that something you aspire to here, or are you just coaching because it's your kid and it's great fun?
I don't know. That's a good question. If you would have asked me when I was playing, even after I was done playing, I wanted nothing to do with coaching. I didn't have aspire to be it. Even when I kind of fell into this coaching role, they asked me just come on the ice, and I really didn't want to. And I wanted to get away from the game because to be honest, I really didn't like it that much, being injured and all that. So, but after jumping in it and diving in, I developed a passion for the game again. I developed just a love for the game that kind of disappeared in those last few years.
When you see Tocchet and Foote and Gonchar and guys like that on a bench, I don't want to use the word jealousy because it's available to you if you wanted to, but do you kind of feel that pull that I wish I had that opportunity right now? Does it look tantalizing to you?
You know what I always say, it has to be the right situation for me to do it. I'm enjoying being a dad, and I'm enjoying being an Uber driver and taking the kids around and seeing their passion in different sports. I got 4 at home, and between lacrosse, volleyball, dance, cheer, hockey, I'm spread pretty thin. So, but look, I would never say never. But like I said, it has to be the right situation for me.
Cheer. Yeah. Cheer's so big in the States.
No, hey.
I don't get it, but it's big.
I'm not a big rhinestone guy, so I'm not I don't own any cheer gear. You can say.
Speaking of rhinestones, good segue. Rhinestones.
Well, we want to bring you on, of course, to reflect back a little bit on the only other time the Vancouver Canucks and Nashville Predators hooked up in the playoffs. It was round 2, 2011 during the run. And for some of us, it was the best hockey we ever saw you play, some of the best hockey we ever saw anybody play in a postseason series. When you reflect back, what do you remember about that series against Nashville?
It was, like you said, it was probably the best hockey I've ever played. And I was just really enjoying the game. And, we had such a close team, and to get past that second round was huge. I had success in the score sheet, but, we had so many players play a huge role in that series. Especially, talk about that series, but the series before with Burrow scoring that huge goal. kind of set it up. And I always say I didn't score up until that point, and Ehrhoff set me up beautifully in the crease, and it was a tap in, and ever since that I kind of took off.
I was amazed when I went down the rabbit hole of it in anticipation of this interview, and you say that everybody else was great as well, and it's not entirely true when you, at least counting stats wise. I mean, we should make that caveat, I guess. Counting stats wise, I mean, it was you and Christian Ehrhoff, and that was pretty much it. I mean, Danny only had 3 points in the series, and I was amazed at how much it was relied upon you to actually put the puck in the net with the 5 goals. I mean, was everybody feeding you when you? I mean, you've been on the other end of that when you see another guy with a hot hand. I mean, do you feel like everybody was looking for you after game 1?
Yeah, when the puck's going in, it's going in. You can't explain it. Anything I shot went in, and I was getting the bounces, and when you have success, it's human nature to look for that player more. And the puck was finding me and following me around. And I always say, when I feel the best on the ice, or when I used to feel the best on the ice, it felt like I would never get tired. I could skate for days, and I felt like that the entire series. And then, then Hank and Danny took over the San Jose series for us and got us to a Stanley Cup final.
How much did the 2 rounds in the Nashville series take out of you, Cass?
You know what? I felt pretty good after the Nashville series, but game 5, when I felt my hip go, you kind of know as a player that something's not right. And, you go back and get fixed up. And, I would say, if anything, I think the San Jose series was pretty physically taxing on me. More so than the Nashville series.
Yeah.
Remind me,
and we've heard that from everyone. Higgins, Schneider, Ham Hughes, Mason Raymond, everyone talked about how good thing you guys won that series in game 5, because you had a lot of players who would have been fighting through things in game 6.
Was that ground zero for the hip problems, or was it before that as well?
I had 1 surgery or 2 surgeries before that on my hip.
Before that still, okay, yeah.
But this one was bad, and it was completely torn, and just to get through the next 2 weeks, I would have liked the finals to be only 4 games, and it ended up going to 7. And it just, after that, it takes so much out of you emotionally and physically. And, to get over that, obviously it was an experience. You look at all the positives that came out of that playoff run. The city became so electric. I'll never forget the drives home from the arena, and driving a mile took 2 hours, and the streets lined with fans, and how just the excitement in the air every day on game day, going to the rink. And it's I'm getting chills just thinking about it right now. Those are some of my fondest memories.
Vancouver to Nashville is about as far as you can go in the Western Conference for a playoff series. How concerned should the Canucks be about the travel in this series?
Thankfully they're starting at home, so that's an advantage for them. I'd like to see this in 4, maybe 5, so they don't have to. But when it gets to 5, 6, 7, you're traveling every day. I think early on it doesn't affect you. It just, if you have longer series, the further you go, the more it takes out of you.
Being a first round series too, right? You're not quite yet war torn.
I mean, in their case, they had to go all the way to Chicago in round 1 there in 20, and then all the way to Nashville. So their travel was.
Ryan, that was the first time when you guys faced. That was the first time they'd ever escaped the first round. So there was some buzz there for a market that had never experienced that ever. They're a little bit more mature. They've gone on some deep runs since then, of course, went to the Cup finals back in 2017. So they're a little bit more savvy to it. But what did you make of the market back then? What do you think the Canucks should expect just in terms of the atmosphere now?
It's a fun building. I don't know how hockey knowledgeable they are, but I think that's why they make it a fun building.
Maybe,
man. They cheer for everything. it's a fun atmosphere to go into as a visiting team. And the fans should be pretty good for them. Nothing like Vancouver fans though, with how passionate they are and how loud they get in the playoffs. You know, but saying that, Nashville will be excited to have playoff hockey.
I hear you keep up with the Canucks. You still follow the progress here.
I do. I JT Miller's obviously having a career year. I like the makeup of their team. I've liked what they've done with it. Picking up Zadorov, I really like that move. He's hard to play against. You look at guys that are hard to play against and guys that get into the middle and get into those tough areas, and that's how you're going to win in playoffs. The checking gets tighter, and you need those guys to want to go into those areas, and those guys that are hard to play against for possibly 7 games in a row. And if you can win that battle, you're probably going to end up on the right end of things.
Your games are a little bit different. Maybe you've commented on this before, but remind us what you think of JT Miller's on ice game, because he gets a little bit of comparison to you because you guys both had a little snarl, attitude out there. What do you think of what JT Miller brings to this club?
I think he brings that passion. Think he brings the leadership. I think he's a lot like me, that he wears that, passion on his sleeve, whether it be frustration or just that competitiveness. He's a guy that I would want on my team to go into war with. I think he looks like he can be grumpy at times, and that's not a bad thing. But he's a much better player than I was. I look at his game and I can see similarities. But the way he's playing right now, the Canucks are lucky to have him on his team.
He's channeled that passion. How difficult is it now to channel it in the playoffs, though, when everything gets ratcheted up? What do you remember about that in the early days of your playoff career, of like using the passion for good rather than ending up in the box or what have you?
Yeah, it's hard. We even go back to me coaching. It's hard for me on the bench to stay not so passionate and even keel, but that'll be huge for him. There's going to be ups and downs. I would say now I'm looking back, I probably could have handled myself a little differently in certain situations, but young and dumb, right? I think JT is going to be fine. I think the team's going to be fine. And as this series goes on, I think it's important for them to just stay even keel. They say it's hard to win in a Canadian city. You hear that all the time, but I think if they just keep their head down and eliminate the noise, like I'm sure they've talked about, is, keep everything within the room and let's just keep our head down and take it one game at a time and one series at a time, they'll be just fine.
Since you brought up grumpiness, how much of it was put on? How much of it was organic, Ryan?
You know what? People say that I was grumpy. I don't think I was. I think at times I was, especially when I wasn't successful or playing well. I think that was organic because I cared so much, and I think it just came out the wrong way. You always want to help the team, and when you're not, or when you're injured, it to me, I think it came out as grumpiness. But before games, I wasn't a guy that was gonna joke around, or I was more serious, and that probably came off as grumpy. I know most of the guys nowadays are best friends with the other team. I couldn't be. I had 23 friends on my team, and I didn't care if I talked to a single other player in the league. I get times have changed now, and they all seem to know each other and are buddies with each other. So, I don't know how I'd do in this day and age.
Did you love to poke and prod the guys though in the playoffs? Yeah, the opposition I'm talking about. Like, I mean, the chirping.
They were savage with Backus that one year.
It gets ramped up though in the playoffs, doesn't it? I mean, you and Bird just seem to revel in it and try to get the other teams off kilter.
Yeah, I think that's a dying skill in the league, right? It's the game within the game. Anyway, anyhow to help the team win. Burr and I were kind of the same that way. Whatever we could do to help the team win, we'd do and we'd buy in.
Incidentally, you'd fit in with this room. We got half of Team USA down the road here at Rogers Arena. Wanted to ask this question because the last time you joined us, you painted a bit of a tough picture, but how you doing physically? How's the body holding up?
It's still a challenge. It's better. Day to day, still can't run or I'm building myself up by, walks, but I can get on the ice and skate. I put on the equipment for a charity game and for the first time, and that felt awful, but it felt good to get out there and just get in the locker room again. I think that's the thing I miss the most is being in the locker room and just hanging out with the boys and just having a little bit of that with that charity game. You realize how much you miss it, but I'm good. Mentally, I'm a lot better. Physically getting there. The kids coaching helps. My kids help keep me young. And yeah, I'd say day-to-day life is good. It's just can't do certain things. And that is what it is. And, but saying that, I still work with, Damian Maroney and Ben Spohr out in Vancouver. I Zoom with them and they could put me through workouts to just keep on my hips and help. So, in November, we're actually coming out there to play in that Pat Quinn Invitational.
Oh, awesome. Great.
So hopefully catch a Canucks game.
Absolutely.
Hopefully they're in town and hopefully I can see some old faces. That'd be nice.
Well, a couple of things. Number one, we noted there's a milestone birthday coming up in August. Yes. So we wish you glad to hear you're improving because
21st birthday.
because most people aren't improving towards that milestone birthday and change. Secondly, being back in Vancouver, and this is a question I've been itching to ask you. There's a lot of us here who believe you belong in the Ring of Honor at Rogers Arena. Do you have thoughts about that? Is that an aspiration? Do you know of your status, candidacy? Talk to me about a post-career honor with the Vancouver Canucks, because I think it's deserving.
Yeah, I mean, every player loves to get acknowledged, right? I would have loved to, I'm still not retired, but I'd love to, retire a Canuck, and those were my best years. Those were the years that I remember, and the teams and the teammates, not taking anything away from Anaheim, but just the cup run and all those great years we had, the President's Trophy and the success and the community and everything about Vancouver. It's home. And if they do choose to honor me, I would love that. It kind of being a closing, of that chapter of my life. And it would be awesome. Thinking about it gives me chills and almost tearing up a bit just thinking about it. So,
well, he'll be here in November if you're listening. Canucks Sports and Entertainment.
Elbow to the ribs.
Lastly, Cass, who do you like in this Canucks Predator series, and then how many?
I like Vancouver. Actually, just told someone last night, Vancouver in 4. So Vancouver in 4.
Wow, bold.
There you go.
Very bold.
Never lack for bravado on the ice.
Fans don't like me anyway. So, Vancouver, can Vancouver win in 3 maybe?
Great catching up, Ryan. Thanks for the time. All the best with the kids and the coaching and the body, and we'll catch up down the road.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Hey, everybody. If you're enjoying what you're seeing here,
then follow along with Sekeres and Price on YouTube. I promise more content coming.
The kids call it subscribe on YouTube.
Well, how about liking it?
Do that as well. Smash it right now.